fellow travelers, and welcome to the Versus Stars podcast. All my loyal listeners, thank you for continued support. And remember, click that subscribe button, everybody. This is a very special episode because Katy M. O'Brien boards the mothership. You know her as Elia Kane on Star Wars The Mandalorian. Now come aboard as we go traversing the stars. Hello, Miss O'Brien. Thanks so much for coming to Traversing the Stars podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's an absolute honor to talk with you. Me and my wife are big fans of The Mandalorian, so I want to thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh my gosh, it's going to be great. I'm excited. Thanks for having me. I'm ready to go. I'm all backlit.
So I always start out with the question of inspiration. So what inspired your love of acting and who your earliest influences?
Earliest influence was my parents. Just like, I feel like especially like my mom was always just really smart and emphasized the importance of education and forced me to really like focus and think about things before I did them. And my dad is just like the hardest worker I've ever met. So it was kind of like just getting to lead by example. They showed me what it meant to work hard, to what you would have to do to succeed. And I feel like I owe a lot of my success to them. In terms of like early acting inspiration, I think I always loved like stories. My brother and I were obsessed with Greek mythology, and that expanded to other mythology and then fantasy mostly. But I saw Silence of the Lambs, I think maybe too young on accident. It was on just like on a cable one day or something. Yeah. And I was so fascinated by all the dynamics of it. The acting was unbelievable. The story was just wild. I'd never seen anything like the time. And I just thought Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster, both of them were just so captivating in their performances. And I was just like in awe. So I think that was like the first moment of like, you can really take film and inspire people with it.
So do you always prefer the villains?
They're both so much fun. I think it's like, I love interesting villains. Growing up, I definitely preferred the villains. I liked Jafar for some reason, like what good qualities does Jafar have except an awesome beard, but there's just something so fun about playing villains and watching villains work. But I do always root for the good guy.
Well, like I said, what does the villains have? They have great dialogue. Villains always have the most fun dialogue. Yeah. Now, did I read correctly that you also have trained in the martial arts and teach it?
Yeah. So I started in karate when I was 5 and wound up getting my like brown belt in that. And then when I went into college, there's this Indiana University has an amazing martial arts program. So I found Hapkido, self-defense program, wound up getting my black belt in Hapkido, training various other styles, and I just keep doing it.
Now, is there any crossover between the principles of acting and the principles of martial arts?
Yeah, I think both take a lot of discipline. I think, it is an art, martial art is the art of war. And, yeah. But there's also, there's really fascinating history components to it. There's tempo to it. There is rhythm in both when you really think about it, and there's a language of it. So, I do find that, especially when I'm thinking of like fight choreo and things like that, I feel like it's like memorizing music. Dialogue is also good. Dialogue is also like memorizing music. Bad dialogue is very difficult to memorize.
That's awesome. So, as everyone knows, you play Elia Kane in The Mandalorian, which is absolutely awesome. So, how do you get involved in the series, and were you always a fan of Star Wars?
I saw this audition. My team brought it to me and didn't tell me what it was for. Super small role. And I said that when I went in the audition room, and they're like, there are no small roles. But it was like just a few lines of dialogue. So I didn't think it was going to be as big as it wound up being. And I just went in, said the couple lines, and then they called me and said I got the part. So I didn't know what part. I just showed up to my wardrobe fitting, and it was this Imperial uniform, like a very obvious Imperial uniform. So Yeah. uh I wasn't always a Star Wars fan. My brother used to watch it a lot, and I just kind of was like, ugh, again, but as I, started to get on this, realize, oh, I'm in the show now. I started to rewatch everything from it kind of in chronological order, or at least I'm trying to, and then they add something new, and I'm like,
Yeah.
well, but yeah, doing my best to just catch up, and now I'm growing much more of an appreciation for it. I'm definitely not going to be one of those people that can be like, oh, that's a XYZ clone, blah blah thing, whatever. But that's a whole nother skill in itself. But definitely appreciate like the world, and especially the politics, which is why this episode was so fun to be a part of, because you kind of start to really get to see how that shapes this whole universe, and is chaos basically.
Well, you know what? But I agree with you 100% when you say you're not, like you said, you're not one of those people that can like memorize like the ship and all that stuff. I don't think you should have to be. A fan is just fun. You shouldn't have to be one of those people who are like, actually, in episode 3, that was a blah 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 type of door. It's like, what?
Yeah. It's so amazing though. I mean, it's like they majored in it or something, but like
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a class, it's really, really cool. And you do, you when you talk to people that can do that, you get a whole nother level of appreciation for it. So it's cool, but yeah, definitely not me.
Well, you have graduated to the point of having a Wikipedia page.
Yeah, well,
You're that's a step up. That's, you're not just in Star Wars. You have a Wikipedia page in Star Wars now.
yeah. Yeah, I know. I guess I haven't seen it yet because I try so hard not to search anything myself,
Yeah.
because it's a rabbit hole. You either find really great stuff, or you find really, really just awful things. And I just, I feel like I live better not knowing.
It's probably right. I mean, you've gotten a lot of praise for Star Wars, but I will say, and anytime you go too deep into a fan base, yes, it can get dirty.
For sure.
So when you first appeared in season 2 of The Mandalorian, did you already know the character was set to reappear in the following season?
I had no idea. I thought I was dead, and I told people that. And then when I found out, I still told people I was dead, because I was like, it's just easier for me to lie about them. And they won't ask me questions about the next season. So yeah, I just it was a pleasant surprise. And then when they brought the new script to me, I was even more blown away, because I didn't know that I would have that big of a role. So I was honored and humbled and surprised, all the things. And just to see how, like, I thought the writing was so good. I was so excited about the direction of the character, at least what I could tell from the script. And I was beside myself. I was like, it's very different than Mandalorian. I think it's going to be really polarizing, because it's different than what we've seen so far, and kind of it was like a story within the story. But yeah, I was just like super, super stoked.
So when you first got Elia Kane, because obviously she didn't even have a name when memory serves, when she was in the second season.
Right.
What were you told about the character to kind of give you a sense of how to approach it? And did they give you any hints about the character when you got to the third season?
Gosh, no. No hints. They still keep it really, really under wraps. And I'm not just saying that. They kind of have us do our performances several different ways, but still staying kind of in line to what the story needs. But it's do this more remorsefully, or do it with a little more of an evil glare or something, and so you play it so many different ways, and you try it so many different ways, and it kind of is like, because they have a whole world they can play with right now. It could be anything they want, and they have the flexibility to change a lot of stuff if they want. So it's just a constant state of developing, and they see what they like, and that's what they go with in the end. And I'm sure, obviously sometimes they've got it like down pat, and they're just not telling me. But which is fine, because the less I know, the better. It's fine, whatever. But yeah, I mean, before we shot the episode, I was still filming Ant-Man, so I was in London. And we got to chat with Isaac, who directed it. and Omid. We got to talk together, go through the script together, get a general idea of like the vibe, because they kind of mirrored it after, it was like a little bit of an homage to Brazil. And yeah, so we just, we kind of got a little bit of those little ins and outs. And it really was one of the big things they wanted was this is like very platonic. There's no like, we're not trying to hint at romance here. It really is kind of, it wants to feel like a buddy heist, that kind of that feeling. So as long as we brought that element to it, we really did have a lot of freedom to play with different things and try different things, which is really fun. But also when you're really trying to think about who am I, it can be kind of challenging. So you really have to be able to like to shift your inner cogs, I guess, and adapt.
Well, I think the interesting thing is too is that your characters, there's a lot of subterfuge with your characters. Not giving too many spoilers, but I assume most people have watched the episode by now. There's obviously a lot of subterfuge, and I know in acting it's all about knowing the objective. When you're performing a role like that with all that subterfuge, are you performing the objective that is subterfuge in your part? That's part of the performance, or is it subterfuge objective of what that moment within, saying with the assumption that the reader, that the viewers know or think that you're doing what you say you're doing at that moment? That makes sense.
I think it's always helpful to have that inner objective, and in this instance I can kind of create it myself, and then it still is a mystery, so it still comes off as a mystery no matter what. So even if the one that I have, my inner thought or what I'm thinking is incorrect in the long run, it still works for the plot, still works for the story. And like I said, we get to try it several different ways. So if maybe the way that I really wanted, they wanted to try some other way, we still get to try that, and maybe it winds up working out better for what they want later down the line too. So yeah, like I said, it's really just being able to shift that, but know that at the end of the day, my goal is he's here. I'm trying to either get favor with the New Republic or betray, but either way, it's a betrayal. Either way, it's a betrayal. So you go in knowing that. And I do think like, in my core, I think everybody's got a little bit of good and evil in them, something, but I also feel like to play someone so one-dimensionally where they're just so strictly evil isn't fun. And it's not really human. So I did the whole time have like this little tingling of, this is hard.
Well, the question is, like I said, the other big thing with characters is that every character is a hero in their own mind, whether a villain or a hero. So the question with Kane is, thinks that she's being heroic, protecting the ideas of the Empire, or she protect the ideas of the New Republic, or can you not say which one at this point?
Yeah, I don't know. They haven't told me. But I think that I was Gideon's right hand at some point, so I know how to get ahead wherever I am. So I think right now it's, I'm in this situation, and I know that this is an opportunity to show that I'm loyal and can get ahead. So that's my understanding of it. I might be incorrect later on, but yeah.
Now, obviously, there's great chemistry between your character and the character of Dr. Pershing. Had great chemistry with each other. Now, obviously, like you said, it's not romantic anyway, but platonic. But do you think she did at any point have affection that was at all genuine for him, or was it always this idea was going to be? Because at the end, it's a little question. Like that was a bit of a bitch move. Sorry.
That's pretty nasty, right? Yeah. You didn't have to crank it up to 11.
Because part of me was like, she was so nice. They seemed to be so good friends. And then she just goes like that. Then she put it even more than that. She cranked it even after she did the one. She's like, a little bit more. And she kept doing it.
Yeah. Adding a little seasoning. Like, maybe this isn't enough. Yeah. It's curious because to me, especially what they wound up showing in the end, it did look like I was somewhat remorseful at certain points. So
yeah.
I'm watching him admire and enjoy the moments and stuff. So to me there is there is that little bit of affection. I mean, he's a very lovable, sweet guy, so how could you not, you know? But at the end of the day, you know, if they choose to bring me back or whatever they want to do, it'll be a discussion down the road, and we'll see what my true nature is, I guess.
Now, are you able to reveal if Elia Kane shows up anymore in this season?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm allowed to reveal anything like that, so I'm gonna just keep my mouth shut.
So no, like no wink, no like
Well, I think if you watch a trailer and you see that maybe you didn't see some things in this one you might have missed or whatever, you can maybe draw, but
because it's such, like I said, she's Kane is such a fantastic character. You did such a great job with her that I think the fans are now thinking to themselves, yes, you need more Kane in the series. So hopefully,
and I agree. Bring me back. I'm happy to. I want to be in every episode all the time. But yeah, I mean, obviously, it's not. It is about the Mandalorians in the long run, but yeah, who knows what Elia's up to?
and I assume there's an action figure in your future too. You know, like Kane's gonna have an action figure at some point.
Oh, I hope so. That'd be so cool. Yeah, I mean, like they've always, even you show up for a day, you show up for a week. You know, they tend to always do like the full body pictures and everything to get trading cards out, and the 3D scans and stuff. So there's always that option. But you know, whether we see it or not.
Now, do you have any of the Elia Kane like trading cards or anything like that?
I still, right now they've only contacted me about the comms officer ones, so I still have a few of those. They've been out for a while now through Tops, but yeah, Elia is pretty new, so nothing yet.
Have you experienced the convention circuit yet?
I have. I did Star Wars week last year in LA, and this year I'm set up for like 6 cons or something.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I think we're going to be in, and obviously it's all prone to, you know, if I book a job, unfortunately I can't go, but I just got one for Australia and got New Zealand. I've got 2 in the UK. I have I think 3 in the US so far. So yeah, it's fun. I mean, I used to go to cons. I dressed up. I was in New York Comic-Con with the group. We did Archer cosplay. So you know, it's just so much fun for fans, and it's fun. There's so many cool booths and just really unique, fun things to do with them. So yeah, I'm excited.
So what's next for you?
Next, I have a movie coming out with A24. It's a hard pivot from the Marvel and Star Wars world, but I play a bodybuilder, goes to a small town, fall in love, chaos ensues, very A24 fashion. And yeah, it's like a romantic thriller. It's called Love Lies Bleeding, and I'm very, very excited about it.
Very cool. So when you're ready to talk about it, hopefully you come back on.
Yeah, awesome. All right, thanks so much for having me. Yeah, you too.